Welcome to the latest installment of Duality Podcast. I'll be Mr. Business.
And you know who it is, Mr. Social.
We're going to have some fun today.
Yes, sir, we're going to have some fun.
What's good with you, brother?
I'm good, man. How everybody doing out there? What's going on?
Yeah, man, just trying to get through the days. That's all you can do. You know what I mean? Long week, but, narrowing it down.
All right.
Yeah, how about your end?
Same thing, man. Been pretty busy this week, which is a good thing. Always having some things to do. Got one of these Black Lives Matter masks. I think this is the most fashionable I got with the masks. I see people with the Louis masks and Fendi and Gucci, but, we had a big, beautiful rally yesterday. They painted Black Lives Matter on Martin Luther King Plaza there in Elizabeth, New Jersey.
Okay.
So I wanted to be strapped up with the Black Lives Matter,
Okay. Everybody doing that now with the Black Lives Matter and all
Yeah.
that.
Oh, you know we go in vogue.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, though, we're going to get past the paint.
We should. I tell you, it was some people there talking. You don't know what everybody going to do, right, until it get done. But it definitely was some people there talking in that realm that it actually was a hashtag beyond the paint.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they definitely had a plan. I know in Elizabeth, I could speak to it. They sent some letters out to some city council folks. It's a new police director over there. Shout out to Director Earl Graves. Black man that's first ever in Elizabeth as the police director.
Oh,
and
that's powerful.
they wrote him a letter. And a couple, the appropriate folks to say, we want to see some systemic changes in the police department and different stuff. And, quite honestly, I read I can't remember the name of the report. I wanted to quote it, but I know New Jersey, it was a report about all the municipalities, 431 municipalities' use of force by their polices.
Wow.
And Elizabeth was like ranked number one, if I'm not mistaken, over Newark, Jersey City, Patterson. Yeah, about use of force. 4 times as likely to use force. So there's some things that got to get changed over there. Yesterday it was pretty symbolic. I get that, but you're right. We want to get past all the symbolism. We need them sometimes, too, to bring attention to the issue or the problem. But it definitely got to be a plan behind that to go with it.
Listen, even though we left Elizabeth and came back, this Elizabeth we left is different than the one we came back to.
It definitely is.
You know what I mean? Demographically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The whole country is changing demographically.
Yeah, it just seems different when it's your town. You pay more attention
up
to
close.
it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that kind of has to me, an effect on policing and how you turn a blind eye to yours as compared to when we came up. It was totally different. You know what I mean? Like, demographics, that plays a part in all this.
Right.
Remember we had Officer Friendly, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, remember him?
Yeah, but he was for all kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
It seems like the police now, they pick and choose who they turn a blind eye to in our city at times. And I guess I can say this because, where I stay at, you see a lot of things over there that we can't do.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, we're going to address that, on another day, but we know what that is.
Definitely, man. I mean, look, it's where everything else is problems on multi-layered, on multi-fronts. Like, it's so much work to be done overall. But, I got a great saying, great quote. Got from my sis, Michelle Candia. Shout out, her and Dion, the Candias. But she said, hey, just take care of your little corner of the world. Sweep it up. Keep that sweep. If everybody did that, we'd get a cleaner world. So with all those issues going on that we need to confront, we got our platform here. We try to share it with people. Different little work we do. You only could do what you can handle,
That's true. So what's the hot topic for today?
Well, I thought that was pretty hot. Lead in the story was something historic in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Black Lives Matter, Elizabeth.
Yeah, but for me, like that's not a topic. That's gonna be a way of life. A topic is like Ben and Goya might be a topic, but that Black Lives Matter, that's life. You know what I mean?
A lot of people don't agree with them. Even black folks, they're saying Black Lives Matter got hidden agendas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with everybody out there right now. I need to do a little more research. But I watched some of these videos that people went on their website and like, see, here's the proof. You can read it in their About To area.
Right.
I just didn't get what they were saying. Like, one of the lines, and I'm paraphrasing, says something about, and we make space for LGBTQ member of that community to be leadership in ours. And I feel they twisted it, the person that had the little video and saying, see, they don't want black men. And I was like, what? They just saying they make space. Like, I kind of understand whether you agree with that lifestyle or not. I understand how that's what Black Lives Matter was about. Y'all acting like it didn't matter. We had to make space to say this. So within that group, they felt, I guess, the leadership of Black Lives Matter felt that it would be some discrimination towards the LGBT community that was black. So they saying, yo, we got a safe space if they can make. They took it as they don't want black men and they hate black men. The whole leadership is lesbians, and I don't know that to be true. But,
right.
So we can't even get that right. All I know, the premise of it is to say Black Lives Matter, to make that space. I'm with that. Sometimes we got to kind of, it sound crazy, but you can't get caught up in all who trying to lead the movement. As long as let the movement be pure. The humans are not. Everybody going to make mistakes, but what we supposed to be moving on, you do your best to stick to that. Don't worry about who in front and saying stuff. That's just my little opinion,
I mean, it kind of makes sense, but like you say, if humans are doing it,
right?
Remember, I'm always a firm believer. Like you said, we have our conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? I think sometimes behind every movement, it's a financial play involved too.
It could be.
You know what I mean?
It could be.
Like every movement is like not for the betterment of people, but it's more about for the empowerment of those that's actually doing the movement.
But you said every movement, so there's never been a movement that's just been on legit, in your opinion.
Actually, no.
Voting, civil rights, black nationalist movement, the Black Power movement in the 70s. Nothing. Everybody had you said all the movements. I'm just getting that straight.
Yeah, for me, yeah. Because even the civil rights, like it was a financial play involved in that too. Like everything has a financial. Remember, like to me, don't nobody get behind nothing unless they find where they can benefit from economically. That's just my opinion. I ain't saying it's a fact, but that's just my opinion. I think everything has an economical reasoning for people to be like, yeah, I'm going to support this. You know what I mean? But if they feel as though they can't financially gain from it, they don't really put stock into it like they should. Like I said, it's just a personal opinion. Like I said,
tomato.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, of course, there's economic. There's an economic piece to every movement. Like to mobilize, to do things, you got to have some money. So there's somebody. So I guess you could say that.
I mean, I ain't saying like okay. The end, like as long as the end results and the end results. But I think the initialness of it is like, okay, how do we benefit from this? You know what I mean? Like, now granted, if we benefit more at the end, then fine. But I guess I'll be looking at it like, okay, I'm always looking like who sent you and why you got involved. You know what I mean? Like, that's just my look at it. Like, yo, why you got involved all of a sudden? You know what I mean?
Well, some people definitely have their hidden agendas all the time. A lot of times, like you said, with these movements, there's a banker or a purse that's attached to it that helps start it. And, maybe they do think that they're going to reap what they put into it, and some more in the end. I don't know. That's again, why I say people can do that and you convolute it because it's the people.
Right.
But was the civil rights movement not a good thing? Was this?
I'm not saying
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Make sure whoever out there listening, that's again my little humble opinion. Stick with the premise, the mission statement of the movement. Don't get too caught up in these jokers that could be great speakers and all, or the following the money. If you really want to do something, find out what a movement is about, what it's supposed to be about. You stick to that. That's what you could control. You can't control everybody else being greedy and backstabbing and corrupt. And I know you can't be involved with a bunch of corrupt people because you're going to be corrupt in a minute.
You gotta tread careful with these things now, man. To me, you just gotta tread careful. You know what I mean? Not get yourself, because some people, man, they really put themselves out there, man. Then they become like the poster child when the shit go wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like you said, they so emotionally vested.
Everybody have a scandal or two, or one or three. But
I get it. You know what I mean? But
keep it pure what you involved for, people. Don't worry about all the rest. Black lives matter. Just like we wouldn't have had to make black colleges if it was, why we made that? Because they wasn't letting us in the black and white colleges. Why we say Black Lives Matter? They acting like they don't. You know what I'm saying? I listen, not every single Sunday. Some Sunday mornings I catch Al Sharpton on the radio. And he said, when you get involved with these things and like protesting and everybody saying what marching doing and everything has a reason. So even with these protests or march, I think it's about bringing a light to that issue, right? Okay. So we still got to do the work to solve problems. Marching and protesting is not solving problems. We know that. Everybody that say that, what's that going to solve? Hello.
It's good exercise.
That's not the... It's more than exercise. That's what I'm trying to say. It don't supposed to solve the problems. It's supposed to bring the problems to the light. It's supposed to make everybody aware of an issue that's going on. It's not there to fix what's going on. So that's what it's doing. It's drawing attention, putting the light on it. Now we could talk about it. Now we got the world attention. Now let's see. And you see people coming up with all these different, they're trying to push through the George Floyd law to get some police reform. Right. That's when you do that, because now you got the people in Congress paying attention. Wow, that's a hot button topic. I better vote the right way when we get these laws in front of us, or I could get voted out. That's how the system's supposed to work.
Well, I think even with Congress, I guess it's different now because they're younger. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they march into what we march to now, as compared to, you gotta get these old guys out of there too.
You remember Karras once said that? 20 years down the line, we're gonna be the ones in Congress and voting and stuff.
You know what I mean? So that does change the direction of things. You know what I mean? Because them old guys, they stuck on old ways, and you can march all day. They be like, nah, we about to not have this vote. You know what I mean? But these younger Republicans, and even young Republicans, Tea parties, whatever they call them, like all these different young people, like their agenda is pretty much the world agenda. As compared to the old politicians, they just had their own agenda. So I do like the way these young, politicians are getting in there, and they really, for the most part, seem like they are for their people. Well, and that's a good change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They actually listening to the people that voted them in. You know what I mean?
Hello, that's what's supposed to happen.
No, but I'm saying, but they actually doing it.
No, I'm saying,
yeah,
more
actually
than ever.
Doing it.
More than ever, I think it was a big upset in New York. The congressman, I forgot the brother name who won, and he's pretty progressive. But that's what the streets calling for. Like you said, they want that progressive ideology nowadays. That they want that Warren, that not Buffett.
They want that money. Yeah, they want that Buffett money.
What's his name now? Oh, Bernie. Let it burn. They want to feel the burn.
Yeah. Because listen, man, we can't keep waiting just in general, another 50 years.
Right.
Come on, man. Like, our parents wanted to change. Then our parents wanted to change. We want to change. Kids wanted, like, at what point did the change happen?
This is crazy. in the scope of things, what it was 60 years ago, we just got voting rights.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It ain't that long ago. You're
That
right.
wasn't that long.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when the police really used to get busy.
Yeah.
We think they get busy now. Woo.
Yeah.
It was on us.
But you know what? For every change, too, it's almost like, you ever notice, like, they make a law, but before they put in the law, they put the loophole out first?
Right.
It's a loophole first.
They know what's coming.
Yeah.
They packing it together. But kind of speaking of law and policing and things of that nature,
Yes, sir.
I think that'll give a great segue into our guest for today on Duality Podcast.
Man, who we got today, brother?
Today we got a brother, man, that I've known for a long time. You've known. He's an author now, but he got a long career in law enforcement.
Okay.
Also, a tidbit of information. He was a child rap star from my hometown. That was a big thing at that time. He was winning the Apollo.
Oh, is this the pick? This the
Yeah,
pick?
little
Okay.
Eli, man.
Okay.
Y'all remember
Okay.
little Eli coming out? So I want to bring on right now my brother, author, like I said, all-around good guy, MG Robinson. Welcome to Duality Podcast.
Welcome to the show, brother. How's it going?
Thank you. Thank you for having me, brothers. I'm good.
How you been, man?
Excellent, man. I'm excellent. I can't complain.
That's great. It's great. Good to see you. You looking
Always,
excellent.
Always. I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
Stay on them bikes and stuff,
Yes.
right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
I'm going to let y'all have them bikes. I told you. Nah, we ain't doing bikes.
Could you believe this guy never had a bike in his life?
Never wanted one.
We got to get him one.
Yeah.
You can get one.
He just ain't gonna ride it.
I'm going to watch it. I'll watch it now. Don't be wrong now. I'm a good watcher. Nah.
I want you to give a little background. We were speaking right before you came on about some policing things and opinions. I said you had a career in law enforcement, right? Won't you break that down for us? How long, where at, stuff like that.
All right. I'm currently a major crimes detective in Plainfield.
Okay.
I've been on the force for 13 years. It's usually normal when you come into law enforcement. You start off in patrol. So I was a patrol cop in the beginning for maybe 2 years, and then I got into the street crimes unit. I was a street crimes gang unit for years. Then I was a narc. In between those two units, I had an opportunity to go on loan to the FBI, DEA, state police,
Okay.
Department of Homeland Security, just about any initial you can think of I've worked with. It brought me to my current assignment now, where I investigate everything, all of the major crimes, homicides, shootings, rapes, child abduction, all kind of stuff. But just to touch on what you were saying, prior to that, I didn't follow in the footsteps of my forefathers. My father wasn't a cop. My grandfather wasn't a cop.
Right.
I was raised in the city of Elizabeth. I was raised on hip hop. As a kid, I was involved in music, and that's what Jill was talking about. That's what we know each other from. I mean,
Right.
sports and music. So Jill is one of the athletes that brought some hardware home to our city. You know what I mean? In state championships.
It's not about me. It's not about me.
But
Get an applause.
we're all connected. though. We're all connected because they always say that athletes want to be rappers, rappers want to be athletes.
Right.
So as I was growing up in music, being on the Apollo, putting a record out, being on BET and all that stuff, my closest friends were people that were athletes.
Right.
So by the time I got onto the force, I was already a man. So I wasn't spoiled by a culture. I was already who I was when I came on the force. So in me writing that book, Overseer, it talks about my lifespan, from being a kid, being involved in music, and how that helped me on the streets as a cop, especially as a black cop working in an urban city. I talk a lot about police brutality and different things like that in the book. The book's been out for a while now, so I've had an opportunity to read some of the reviews and talk to a lot of people that have read it, and they said some really good things about it. So I brought two up here for you guys. I really hope that you
Yeah,
guys
sure.
dive
Appreciate
in.
it.
Dive in,
Overseer.
man. Dive
Thank
in
you about
and,
that.
And then, you could always bring me back and we could talk on
Absolutely.
whatever, man.
Yeah, I definitely gotta give it a read. You know, I give you my feedback. I know, you put your heart in it. Just the type of person, like I said, in all seriously that you are. I know you to be. We know each other since kids. You never changed. Even look the same, right?
I wish. It's the gray hair, man.
Hey, man, I just did a little dye job on mine. I ain't afraid to say it.
Now, what actually was the spark that says I want to go in law enforcement?
For me, it was tragedy.
Okay.
It was tragedy, and I talk about this in the book. Two of my brothers were murdered.
Okay.
You know, the actual brother that he was talking about, that Jill was talking about when I first walked in, my brother Junsi Abdul Rahim, was murdered by a cop.
Okay.
In Maryland. You know, so that was a deep transition in itself. When that happened, it was so deep for me that I couldn't even watch stuff on TV that showed police officers, because physically I felt pain.
Right.
You know, like I used to love to watch cops like everybody else, but I couldn't, you know, because I felt so much pain. And then a few years after, my younger brother, Jazz Abdul Qadir, he was murdered in Maryland. Wow. So I just felt like I was tired of sitting back and watching people that I love get taken away from me.
Right.
You know, and me being Muslim, one of the things that Islam teaches you, it says that you should you can do three things about something. You can hate it in your heart, which is the weakest of the three. You can speak out about it, or you can physically change it with your hands.
Okay.
And that's what I did. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm done sitting back. You know, so when I first got into law enforcement, it wasn't for the money, because I was making more money before I was a cop.
Right, right.
You know, so it was way bigger than that for me. You know, I was telling somebody that, you know, in the training, and I also talk about in the book about the police academy and how it was for me. But, you know, how they put you through all of that rigorous physical training.
Right.
One of the things that drove me to never stop is I used to picture the person who killed my brother running in front of me.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So they used to actually have to tell me in the academy, yo, man, relax.
Right.
Relax. We'll be here tomorrow, you know, because I had one speed. But they didn't understand that it was something deeper that was pushing me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's what made me want to get in law enforcement. I also think that just like in anything, you need to be able to, when you want to attain something, you have to be able to look at someone and say, they did it. You know, so I had people that I could look at, you know, at my old job that were black people that were in law enforcement.
Right.
You know, that I could look at. You know, you brought up earlier Officer Friendly.
Yeah.
There's a chapter in the book titled Officer Friendly, where I actually talk about him, and I talk about when he would come to our school and what it meant to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know, so but that's why I did it, and still to this day, you know, I'm driven by that same passion. It hasn't changed.
Okay,
It
that's
hasn't
nice.
changed.
Now, after the academy, you got the shield, you put it on, right? Mm-hmm. And now you full-fledged. Mm-hmm. Like, do you go into work in the beginning kind of jaded, like in the sense where you look at certain cops and be like, those are like the type that I can't patrol with because of what you dealt with personally? You know, or did you have an open mind of like, I'm going to judge everybody here based on their situation? Like, you know how you say you went through the academy with something in your heart. But did you go into the force, like, you know, when you finally cleared everything?
Yeah.
Did you go with that with something in your heart too? Or did you actually find a little freedom with finally, okay, I have the badge, now I can make a change type?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I definitely found the freedom. I didn't go in feeling jaded.
Okay.
I didn't go in feeling like looking at cops a certain way.
Okay.
I was also lucky to work in the city that I work in.
Okay.
You know, when I got on the job very early on, a friend of mine who was a veteran cop in another town that's also an urban city, he said that he would kill to have my job. And at the time, I didn't understand it. I said, what do you mean? He said, I drive through your town that you work in to get home. He said, I see black captains, black lieutenants, black sergeants, female lieutenants. He said, my police department doesn't have that. He said, there's no room for advancement. So I'm lucky to work where I work at.
Right, I get it.
The ability to advance. I worked with good veteran officers who showed me the way. Of course, if you put 50 people together, probably at least 2-3 of those people are going to be bad.
Right.
You know, so I've seen cops that I knew in my head, okay, this is an example of what I'm not going to do.
Right.
You know, and it was times that I had to check people on stuff. You know, where people asked me to do stuff, and it was hard coming from, as a rookie officer. You know, a sergeant's telling you, okay, look, you're going to do this and you're going to write this like this. You know, and I pull them to the side. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So wait a minute. I want to join in on that. Really go into that about, so this was your rookie year.
Yeah.
You still stood your ground, like, and you knew when it was something that just went against what your morals, your beliefs, that you would not do.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the things that the public, everybody wants to know. What do police do this? Especially black police.
Yeah.
Like, what's all going on? Like, why they just stand there? And why, you know, the blue wall and,
Yeah.
No, what's the other word? Protect the shield.
right.
That whole thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Of more of those instances, or not in specific. I know you can't say all you guys' business like that, but talk about how you as a black man, are you standing with the blue wall, protecting the shield, or you obviously said that, or why don't more cops, let's put it that way, why don't more black cops seem to speak out? And we don't know if they do, but seem like they don't.
Well, I can't speak on why they do and don't do something because I don't know their situation. Right. Everybody's situation is a little different. You know, like say if you have a cop that works in a black cop that works in a police department, say there's 30 cops. Say he's the only black cop.
Right.
His reality is different than mine. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
In the department that I work at, we are the majority.
Shout out to Plainfield,
You know
New Jersey Police
Absolutely.
Department.
We are the majority, so it's different. It's different
Right.
if you take a cop like me and put me in Clark. You know what I'm saying? It's different.
Right.
So,
Okay.
But you also got to think about, you know, take a kid that just graduated the academy. Say he's 23 years old. He's basically still a kid.
Right.
You know, maybe didn't have a lot of life experience, and now you drop them in the city and say, okay, now you have to police these people. They have zero life experience. And now you expect them to, when they see something, to be able to say, hey, that's not right. They're trying to manage things themselves.
Right.
You know, and I think that's why I was lucky that when I came onto the job, I tell people all the time, I was already a man. You know what I'm saying? I was already a man, so there was nothing that, you know, I had face-to-face issues with some of my bosses.
Right.
You know, where other guys wouldn't say anything and they might get mad. You know, and I was always respectful. You know, my father brought me up like a soldier, but he taught me to be respectful. So I can remember one occasion I had a disagreement with a supervisor, and I'm not one to try to get attention, so I'm not going to rah and tell you what I'm going to do to you. I waited till he was by himself, and I said, you and I had to have an intimate conversation. I got him in a room, I closed the door, I got really close to him, and I told him what I thought.
Right.
Grown man, had been on a job maybe about 20 years. After maybe 2 minutes in a room with me, he was crying. And it wasn't because I said I'm going to hurt you or nothing like that. It was just because I voiced my opinion.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And me and him became so tight after that. You know, so I would say to young officers, you know, you have to be who you are. You have to be who you are. You have to speak up. And as far as the thin blue line and all of that stuff, hey, listen, somebody asked me what side am I on? And I told them I'm on the side of justice.
Say that one more time.
You know what I mean? Period.
I understand that. That's true. You know, I guess my thing, you know, because, like you said, you have certain police forces where the numbers are different. Like, what would you tell those cops who's like, okay, it's only me, and like, what advice would you give them as far as how to get up the ranks and things of that nature? Because, you know, they probably have a different road.
Yeah.
Like, what advice would you give a new policeman who's the minority?
Yeah.
You know, how to cope? Like, what would you give them?
Well, one of the things that people have to understand that all police departments aren't the same in their hiring practices.
Okay.
You have some towns that are what's called civil service, like the town I work in. You take a test, whether you're black, white, green, you take a test, you score, and they hire you off that list based on your
score.
Residency and your score.
Okay.
They have other towns in New Jersey that are chiefs towns. Say if I'm the chief of a chiefs town and you my friend, and I'm like, you know what? I want to make you a cop. I can do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So for someone who works in a Chiefs town, they don't go by a test to get promoted. What advice do you give them? You know, I mean, it would be basic advice is just be true to yourself. You know, be true to yourself. Work hard as you possibly can. I'm in a position where I teach in a police academy.
Okay.
So every class I'm in front of 60 to 100 recruits.
Right.
I teach 3 different courses, and one of the things that I constantly tell them is that you have to be true to yourself. You know, if you do the job and you do the job well, you'll get the fruits.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It'll bear fruits, and if it doesn't, then you could always bounce.
That's definitely one of the things I think that every department, every municipality, everybody should look at the type of trainers that we have in the academies.
Yes.
You know, you get them when their minds are very impressionable about the job. Like you said, you came in already a certain age and a certain life experience, rather, that had you feeling like a man already. But again, a lot of these guys just got out of high school, or only a couple of years. They don't really know things, and then they go and get this training that from some nut job probably.
Yes.
You know, a lot of them you hear that. I know some other officers, and you talk to them, like that's where it starts.
Right.
They start breeding that kind of racist mentality.
I'll give you an example of not to call out the academy that I work in. The academy's great that I work in. But so I'm teaching a class. One of the classes I teach is cultural diversity.
Okay.
And I tell the young cops, I said, you can't expect to police a people properly unless you know them intimately. If you're a white guy and you grew up, say, in Westfield, you have no black friends, no Latino friends. All you do is hang out with your family, with the kids at your school. You go away to college. Say you go to George Washington University in D.C. Say that the population in that university, as it relates to minorities, is very low. So once again, you're not around a lot of minorities. You come back, you get hired as a cop, and say you got to work in Elizabeth. Say you have to work in Plainfield. You know, there's a level of fear now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I tell young black males, I don't care how tough you think that cop is with all of the tattoos and the chew and all of that. He's probably afraid of you. He's probably afraid of you. So one of the times I was teaching the cultural diversity class, we do something where now the classroom, the lecture hall's filled.
Okay.
It's about 100 recruits, all different places in the state. We throw up a picture on the screen and we tell them, tell me the first thing that comes to mind. The first thing that comes to mind. And all of the pictures are usually something that's going to be racially charged. That's going to draw something in them.
Right.
So there was a photograph. It was like a drawing, and it was 3 brothers. It looked like 3 brothers. It was one cat who was sitting down on the stoop like this, another guy leaning next to him, other dude standing up. It kind of looked like a promotional picture for a rap record.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So the kid looks at it and he goes, when we say the first thing that comes to mind, he says gang member. He's a gang member. So, and I teach the course with 2 other instructors, and they immediately looked at me because they knew that I was going to eat this kid up.
Right.
So I said, okay. I said, we're going to expand on that. I said, what about these guys tells you that they're gang members? He was like, well, kind of like the way that they're standing, like the way that they're like, and then I piece by piece, I kind of dismantled the kid and explained to him, no, man, that's bias.
Right.
I said, what if I were to tell you that's a picture of Jay-Z, Nas, and Puffy, 3 of the most successful music moguls in the world, and they just happen to black out their faces, but you assume that they're gang members. So can you imagine a cop that didn't grow up in an urban area having to police those kids?
Right.
You come out the car, and that's what you see from the beginning.
Gang member.
From the beginning. One of the things that I tell people is I have no fear of my people. Right. I didn't grow up in Plainfield. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have the benefit of being like, oh yeah, that's the kid from the Apollo. Nobody knew anything. Not even the cops that I work with knew that I was a rapper. None of them. Because I purposely didn't tell them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when they dropped me off and it was like, okay, you in the worst section of the city, District 101 in the projects, I was like, okay. Okay, this is home.
This is
bro.
home. This is my element, right?
And the people in the city, they recognize that. They recognize that. There's like, this cat's different.
We can smell authenticity.
Exactly.
But you know what? I look at it too. I used to say a correlation like with sports. Okay. and this is the thing we remember coming up, even maybe as far as 5 years ago. When you're from Elizabeth, it's hard to go to Union because Union cops remember Elizabeth sports.
Right,
So as soon as they know you're from Elizabeth,
Yeah.
so certain things don't leave. They still hold a certain animosity to where you at, and
You
people
put it on them. You put it on them.
Yeah, and it's like
All
we be
the
like,
time.
yeah, you be like, we don't go to Union at night. You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
you know what I mean? Because they still harbor. You like let that go.
So I
You
know
what I mean?
Plainfield don't like us. We killed them and everything. Shut up. But that's big that when you said about how the force looks here in Plainfield, I definitely do wish that was more in Elizabeth. Like I said, I don't know if you heard us. We do have a new police director. He is African-American, black.
Oh, Graves, that's my man.
Earl Graves,
I've known
right?
Earl for a very long time.
Okay.
Right, I did my own little research that people that know him and really he's a stand-up guy overall. But what can we? How do we get those changes in other departments where they diversify with the leadership? The sergeants. So that's so important because those leaders set the culture, right? And that's in your department. And that's where, like I said, that transition from the academy, and then you go right into a department where all the leadership is kind of doing the same nonsense. That's hard to break. Yes. So I'm even learning here, starting to see it's hard to break that blue wall when you got all these people trained a certain way, and then when they get in these departments, their leadership is all a certain way. Where do you stand at that with that?
The hiring process. That's where you start. The way that you choose the people that you hire, the people, like you said, the people that you choose to train these new officers, that's where you start. Also, one of the other things that I do in my department is I'm one of the guys that handle the background investigations. So when we hire new cops, they'll say, okay, we're going to give you 2 or 3 backgrounds, and it's my job to dissect this person's life and decide if I think they would be a good cop. Now, me knowing that sometimes to get to a diamond, you got to go through the coal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So on the edges, somebody might be rough. Now think about, say you have somebody who's, say it's an older white guy. You were talking about the old congressman, and they're old thinking. You have some police that are like that, that have been police for many, many years. Their fathers were police, and they police the same way. Now this person is in charge of hiring in an inner city. He's going to look at a person and say if the person has a DUI when they were 19. Say this guy's 30 years old now. Oh, he's no good. Not even give him a chance.
Right.
Not even give him a chance. You take someone like me who understands that, who understands people, who can look at somebody and see the good in them. I was sitting with a guy the other day, one of the new police applicants, and I could feel this cat from across the table. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this guy's special. I say he's going to do good stuff in this city. So I think that's one of the places where you can start is the hiring process. You have to have the right people making the decisions on who to hire, and the right people training these men and women. Right. Policing is different now. It's not like it was when we were kids, where cops could just show up and really do anything they wanted to.
Right.
A body cam is a protection for the people just as well as it is a protection for the police.
Absolutely, yes.
Because it records everything that you do. But I think that's where you start at. You have to start at the hiring process. That's how you change the lines in the police department.
I have a question, right? Let's say, for instance, the hiring process. If you know an applicant, even by their demeanor, they have a bias or a racist. They score good. They go through everything good, but their demeanor.
That's a great question. I know where you're going.
You still hire this person knowing, like, in your mind, they got an agenda.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, but they scores and everything is off the charts. How do you deal with that type of person?
That's a great question. And that goes back to when I was saying the different type of police departments. Civil service, there's absolutely nothing you can do. You have to hire that person. If that person pops up on your list and say they're number 1, you have to, the Civil Service Commission wants clear proof of why you need to skip this person.
Right.
And it can't be, I have a feeling, or he shows tendencies, or she shows tendencies of this. It has to be something. They have to fail a psych test. It has to be something in their past that you can point to. Now, in the Chiefs towns, you can.
Okay.
You can see it and be like, nope, we don't want this guy.
Right.
We don't want this guy. Because I've seen tons of people, tons of cops that within 5 minutes, I had that feeling like something's not right inside here. You know what I'm saying? But for a civil service town, there's not anything you could do.
Wow. Because I guess I was thinking about it too, from our town, and as anybody, growing up, you see certain cops be like, oh, no, I know what he is. But then, like, I think about even the George Floyd, when they was talking about how those cops actually had records, like, that they, like, they kind of swept under the rug. Like, they had a history of things. Like, how do you address that before it leads to another George, for another Floyd?
Well, there's things in place to address that. When you have a cop that has a track record of several things of use of force where he or she gets flagged, they had to use force this day, they had to use force that day. You keep a record of it. Anytime you have to use force in the state of New Jersey, we have to fill out what's called a use of force report.
Right.
If I grab somebody, and I've used force tons of times, but I also understand that my de-escalation skills have to be just as good as I can fight people.
Right.
So you fill it out. Okay, I put somebody in a wrist lock. I did this. But there's a system in place where if somebody is flagged, you have to start giving them de-escalation training, more use of force training. I think that post George Floyd, it's going to be even more. Like, it's the focus right now. It's sad that a brother had to lose his life that way. So horrible that his family, those images will never be wiped from their minds.
Right,
Ever.
right, absolutely.
But that put in place a chain of events that made things start to change in this country as it relates to policing. A lot of police departments now are having George Floyd or multicultural commissions trying to hire more diverse cops, Black and Latino cops. Right. So that's a good thing, but there are things in place to stop somebody that's constantly using force.
I could say that what you're saying with the hiring practices, all this go together. Just like in our country, I think one thing that could just simply be done, you go city to city, right? You do the racial breakdown, such and such percentage white, such and such percentage Latino, such and such percentage Black. Our civil servant, our public job should reflect that. We got this amount of white people, we got this amount of Blacks on the force, and this amount of Spanish. Wouldn't that make it like really kind of simple? And I know that some people don't like that because that make you, have to play the numbers game. Like once you get here, you got a qualified, say, white person. Oh, we won over quota. But I think that helps with all that diversity training, and because your police department is an actual reflection of the community.
Years ago, I was talking to the late Sheriff Ralph Froelich. He was a sheriff in Union County for many years. I think he was the second longest running sheriff in American history.
Okay.
White male, awesome guy. I knew him when I wasn't a cop. I worked for the county government, so I could go to his office and he would sit with me and talk. One of the things he said to me one day is, he said that it's bad when a police department or a police agency doesn't represent the demographics of the people they police. He said that's bad.
I thought that made sense.
He said that is bad. What I say to that is, I say, not long ago I was speaking to a young mentors group. It was young Black males, all of these young kids there in the Kappa League. So they were either in high school, college, on their way to college. And one of the things I told them, I said, is you want to change policing? I said, become a cop.
Right.
We need more of us to become police officers.
No doubt.
That's how you change it immediately. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you have Like the just to use my city as an example, I think say if we put 7 people in the academy, probably 6 of those people are going to be minorities.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what I mean? So we have a heavy Latino population in Plainfield. To be able to show up on a call, somebody is distressed, and be able to speak to them in their language, immediately de-escalates the situation. You know what I'm saying? You need people who understand their people to police them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So number one, I tell young cats, become a cop. You hate cops? Become a cop. Show them how to do it right.
And I guess
that's a good point.
Yeah. I guess my thing is too, based on what we was talking about a few minutes ago, is like, I get the whole right. It can de-escalate certain things, but, and I guess I've seen it, because certain of them have a certain thing in them, it escalates certain things too. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, for instance, how they say, like, I'm just be like, Salvadorans don't like Mexicans for argument's sake. So, yeah, we speak the language. But culturally, I really don't like you. So I'm doing this for my ancestors type deal. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, it happens. It really do. You know what I mean? And you see it sometimes even in Elizabeth. You know, there's certain, Portuguese cops that historically, they don't like blacks. So they treat them different.
Yeah. One of the things that we teach the recruits in the cultural diversity class is that everyone has bias. Right. Everyone. Not saying that you're a racist, but every single person has bias, whether it's bias against people, bias against colors, bias against certain kinds of food. We say, listen, when you go to work, leave that in the trunk. Leave it.
Right.
Leave it. You're supposed to police every single person the same.
Right.
Every
It's the
single
only way to
person
be
the same.
fair. Like, you got.
I think so. Right.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think, like I said, in theory, it's like that's what they teach you. But then I noticed, and maybe because you've been on the force a while, do cops as they get older or become more seasoned, do they start implementing their own type thing? As far as, I know the structure, but I've been on the force 5 years. I'm going to take a shortcut on this one. And, like, does that happen, like, on a regular or, type thing?
I think that you could probably find places where veteran officers feel like, I know better than the policy. I've been doing this a long
like
time.
That, right.
Especially when you're talking about men, our egos are a monster, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know. I've been doing this for so long, but the powers that be, meaning the bosses of the police department, the city halls, can't allow police officers to step outside the lines.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You can't allow them to step outside the lines. You step outside the lines, you pay a price.
Okay.
You pay a price.
So let me ask you, also, everyone, he's an author, as we talked about a little bit. This book, you see it here, he was gracious enough. I appreciate you bringing this along. I think we get some calls in here. That's what happened.
Welcome to the Duality Podcast. Who's on the line?
This is Brother Mark Hill Mars.
What's going on, brother?
Kill.
I'm chilling.
Kill, that's my fam right there.
Yeah,
that's fam. Yeah,
brother.
Yeah, man. Am I on? Can y'all hear me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you on live, brother, on the Duality Podcast.
Hey, well, first of all, I want to congratulate you, brothers. You're doing an amazing job.
Appreciate that, brother.
I want to encourage you to keep going. But let me get to my man Eli real. E, what's up, baby?
Peace, Kill. What's going on, brother?
Oh man, I'm chilling. I mess around and got the COVID, man, but I'm getting better. God is good.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Hey, be safe, man.
Get well, Kill. Get well.
But speaking of the creator, I couldn't get you on BSK1, but he made a way for you to get there anyway. See how he works?
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, they don't know that you was working behind the scenes.
Yeah. I was unsuccessful, but it wasn't time. Everything got a time and place.
Exactly, man.
You know what I mean? But let me touch on something real quick. In regards to the law enforcement. Colin took a stand, and when he took a stand, took a kneel, it wasn't popular, and nobody really wasn't supporting what he was doing, and he was a sacrificial lamb. But it took one to really get the ball rolling the way it's rolling. And I think that what Eli's doing is from that same cloth, and I'll tell you what I mean. For him to be a cop after what happened with his brother, that's powerful, because anybody else would have resented the police, anybody else would have had an attitude. That's the last profession they wanted to be. But because he's so great who he is as a person, like Colin, he felt like he could make a difference. Absolutely. And I think we really need to look at that, because you got to be special to do that. And again, I could go on and on because how I feel about him. But that right there, just to touch on the law enforcement, to do something like that is powerful, man. Because his brother Johnsy, one of the quickest jabs in the city of Elizabeth. Shout out to him.
That's right.
You know what I mean? But God bless his soul. But to feel like you can make a difference, and look at him, man. Look at that brother, man. No homo, but he's beautiful, man. Look at him. You know what I mean? That's the pride of our city right there, man. You know what I mean? And he's articulate. He never changed. And I can't get off this phone and not talk about hip hop, because that's where it all started from. Before you thought about anything. Word. You know what I mean? I was poet first, but then he was New World poet. You know what I mean?
You trying to say you stole his name?
That's what he would say to me all the time.
Hey, listen. I didn't mind him jacking my name because it was all love. But, I'm gonna just put it in perspective. Just my humble opinion. In order, it's really no order. Shorty Fresh is the best rapper, period, out of Elizabeth. Shimrock is the best artist out of Elizabeth. Period. But the best lyricist, it ain't even close, man. It ain't even close. This brother, I tell you, he was selling his CDs. I had it, but every time I saw him, I was copping them CDs. Respect. I had about 30 of them when I was finished.
Respect.
I had the same CD.
I love and appreciate
New World Poets.
And he was like, Kill, you killing me, man. You got this CD already. I told him every time I see him, I'm copping it. You know what I mean?
That's what's up.
The ex-wife knew the lyrics, the kids, everybody knew the lyrics. So, I'm just saying, man, and I just wanted to reach out and send some love. But another thing, I remember being in Plainfield, and I don't know what you were at the time. I think it was a narc, but it was about maybe 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. And they was apprehending somebody, and I was in Plainfield visiting my cousin, and they was in hot pursuit, and I was by the chicken shack. I don't know if you remember this, E. And he saw me. He stopped pursuing, dapped me up, hugged me. They was looking like, who is this guy? And, he hugged me, said, what's up? And then went on doing his job. But even in the midst of him doing his job, he still acknowledged me.
That's because because I got unconditional love for you, brother.
That's what's up.
That's
a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, and I don't mean to hog it, man, but I don't see my brother that often. So I gotta say what I say while I got him.
So you waited to the Duality Podcast to talk to him now, Kill?
Know what I mean?
Yeah, hey man, yeah, definitely, man. And
hey, look, we making them connections
I got my own
back up.
testimony, man. Hopefully, I could get up there and sit in the hot seat.
Absolutely, you already know how. Come on, bro. Come on, fam. You know what we do.
You know what it is already, man. All we gotta do is say the word, and it's gonna get set up, and you're gonna be in here.
Hey, and shout out to Storm and Pat and Patricia and everybody up there. But yeah, E, I love what you're doing. I gotta get my hands on the overseer. I want to definitely support that. And
That's
I just
right.
want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, brother.
I loved you as a kid. I love you as a grown man.
Love you, man.
And just continue great things, man.
Thank you. I appreciate
and before I go, I want to send an RIP out to Miss Betty. Kurt, your mom was everything to me. But my first job was at KFC. She poured into me, showed me love, and I want to acknowledge her. And I want to send love to Kia. And unfortunately, about her cousin that passed away, Toya. So I want to send my condolences to her as well.
Rest in peace.
And
appreciate it, fam.
Mom Betty, you already know.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. So I mean, again, you guys are doing a great job, and I'm locked in, man. I'm
all right. We don't want a sausage party up there.
yeah, right.
Hey, listen. I gotta support, man.
Kill, I appreciate you.
I'm about to bring you out and start cracking.
Peace, always, brother. Love you, man. Peace.
All right, y'all be good.
Yeah, that was a great caller, man. If y'all do want to call in, we got a few minutes left. Some of y'all want to call. Let's get that number right here. It's 646-233-1302.
right, quick question. I know you cop, got the lyricist background. Do you ever hit them young cops, like, the young guys rapping and stuff? You ever feel as though you want to hit them with a 16 every now and then? You know what I mean? Just a hot 16.
I want to know that
Of course,
myself.
of course.
Do you ever give them one?
Like maybe a couple of years ago, I definitely felt that way. I always would take a liking to certain cats that I would find these young cats that would be out in the hood selling ACDs.
Right.
Other cops would be trying to move them. I'm sitting there being like, yo, let me get one of those.
Right.
I remember this one cat, I took it home, listened to the whole CD, came back, critiqued it. Me and him is like this to this day.
That's what's up.
Wow, okay.
Several years later, this kid was shot. He was shot.
Wow.
I was one of the first people on scene. He didn't want to talk to anybody, but he spoke to me.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the music definitely was a connection, but it's certain things that you can't take out of you.
Yeah, that's
You know
what I
I'm saying?
wonder.
You just can't.
Tell us about that experience right quick. We're going to stick with the music a little bit. If everybody didn't know out there, I was on social media posts. We had a great response, right? Some people.
Yeah, that was cool.
What year was that? First of all, let me say that.
That was 87 when we recorded.
Yeah,
1987.
87.
I was 13 years old when we recorded the Apollo. I talk about in the last chapter of the book, I describe it to a T. Like, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Wow.
The line to get to audition, because this was, at the time, Showtime at the Apollo was the first American Idol. The first America's Got Talent.
Yep.
It was a nationally televised show. The line to audition was blocks and blocks around. And it wasn't one line. It was like 4 lines all the way around.
Wow.
It was me, Off, my manager, Peace to Off, he made me the man that I am, and Derek Fox, the comedian, was with us.
Okay.
So we're standing there, and then we get
This
there,
nigga got stars, bro.
and I'm discouraged because I've practiced, I've waited to get to this point, and I'm like, man, it's all of these people, I'm not going to be able to audition. And Off was like, watch this. And he just slowly started to make his way up the line. He would talk to people for 5 minutes. Hey, what's up, brother? What's going on? Yo, that's a fly jacket. Blah, 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 blah. Next you know, he'd move up. He'd move up. He'd move up. Before I knew it, no lie, we were at the front of the line. The security guy says, next, he grabs me. I'm a little kid. Throws me through the door, and me, him, and Derek slide in. That's the only way that I got on.
Wow.
I walk through the hallway. I see photos of Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson. I'm like, yo, I'm inside the Apollo. When I got on the stage, I'm thinking about the people who performed at this place. I'm like, this is amazing. So we do it. I'm halfway through the through my audition, and they stopped me. They stopped me. They was like, stop. And I'm 13-year-old kid. I'm scared. I'm like, damn, did I do something wrong? So I see Ahmed. Off goes over and talks to the talent people, that work for Percy Sutton in the Apollo, and he comes back over to me. He was like, yo, they love you. He said they saw enough. Right. And next thing you know, that's when I started to get the contract, and we did the TV show. I was on there 3 times. They brought me back for a show off. At 14, 15 years old, I was getting checks from all over the country. You know what I'm saying? And so it actually aired in 88. So that's what really started my career. After being on the Apollo, I started to do a ton of shows. We were traveling all over the place. Finished high school, and that's when I started to release records. Okay. We had deals, offers in front of us. My manager decided, like, listen, he said, we're a step in right behind these companies that are offering us a deal. We can have our own company. So that's when he started Black Tower Records. Okay. So I signed to that label. We put records out that were nationally charted, video on BET, performed with some of the top people in the world. So it was cool. And all the while, I was doing it with my brothers. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was from Eastwick. Everybody was from Elizabeth. But that hip-hop, I tell people all the time, hip-hop gives you a natural boogie. You know what I'm saying? And people could see that boogie. And I think that's what made it easier for me to be a cop. That's what made it easier for people to, because you have to communicate. You have to communicate. And what is an artist other than a communicator? You know what I'm saying? What is an MC other than a communicator? Right. So it made it very easy for me to be able to talk to my people. And even when I had to start teaching in a classroom, I'm like, it's nothing. I'm standing in front of 100 people. I performed in front of 5,000 people. You know what I mean? Right. So
this is nothing.
Yeah, but listen, real quick, I just want to touch on the book and let people know where it's available.
We're definitely going to ask you that.
You can get,
Overseer.
You can get the book. It's at Amazon.com. It's at Barnes and Noble. It's also at Lulu.com. So you go on Amazon, you put in Overseer M.G. Robinson, that book will pop up. You can order it. I had a ton of promo things set up for the book pre-COVID. But once COVID hit, I was supposed to be in LA and Chicago, back to New York, promoting the book, but all of these things I shut down. Right. But the good thing about it is that you can still purchase the book. Unfortunately, I won't be able to sit with people face to face like I was going to and chop it up.
Right.
You'll get that chance. You'll get that chance.
God willing.
We're gonna keep it going. That's one of the reasons that you hear right here on Duality Podcast, Overseer by M.G. Robinson. Y'all make sure y'all go cop that. Amazon, Barnes and Noble,
and Lulu.com.
Lulu.com.
All right, our hour is up for Duality Podcast. Thank you again, Mr.
Yeah, we had a good show.
M.G. Robinson.
Thank you, brothers. I appreciate it.
We definitely got to do this again. Absolutely.
Gotta bring you back. You got a story, yeah. We could have went on a couple of ways.
We could have gone
Absolutely.
for hours.
I mean, we just
gone for hours.
Listen, we just touching right now.
Yes,
we can get deeper later.
Here,
you know what I mean?
Whenever.
We're setting up. That's my guy too from when he was young. And I tell you, real quick, we going off this. You seen this when he was 8, 9 years old. Okay? He talked like that. He was the one. He'd be like, "Oh, this guy, he's the little brother," but he was correcting you. You'd be like, "No, that didn't happen. It's really the other capital." You'd be like, "Oh, come on, Mike." I remember that now. Down at PAL.
Yes, sir.
My man, M.G. Robinson, y'all. The Duality Podcast. We see y'all each and every Sunday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on BKS1 Radio. You know how we do it.
God bless and good night.
That's it.
Yo, that hour went fast.
Go
man.
fast.
Oh, yo, it's live. It's live.
So look, when we first start and we like, what we gonna do? Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
He did that first. We did that the other week. We done learned that one.
We was at it.
A couple people talking to Mike still hollering, "Oh, wait a minute."
Mike, we done said, remember Jesse Jackson?
Oh, yeah, with Obama?
Motherfucker.
Yeah. This smoke.
Which do you think is a better way to go?
I think both of them has their I can't say either one is better. I think both of them have their good and their bad. Yes, civil service is good because there's no bias involved. There's no, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna make sure my son, my nephew, all of these people are cops. There's none of that in the civil service town. You're based on your test, which is good.
But you can get the bad.
Yes, that's the bad thing about it.
Right.
So they both have good and bad.
So you can take the best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
One, you'd have
Yes.
an ideal system.
No doubt. No doubt.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about that. I thought all of them were like
Yeah.
tests.
See, and a lot of us don't
Me too.
don't know these things. A lot of the young guys don't know the process to get on, and some of them think like, "Oh, I got caught with weed when I was 16. I can't be a cop." When that's not the case. Like,
Yeah, like long as not no major
as long as it's not nothing crazy.
Right.
And even if it's
you
something.
just telling me that? I did not know. I thought you had to have a spick and span clean
No.
record.
That's kind of what they kind of tell you, right? They kind of put that in your
Listen,
head.
when
like,
I
you
said
can't-
about the DUI, that was a real case. I worked a background last year, and this kid was 19 years old. When they first gave me his packet, they was like, "Oh, this kid's got a DUI." So I look at it. I take a whole data. It's about this big. I go through every single thing, and then I want to meet the person. So I tell him to come to headquarters. I sit in a room with him. I talk to him. I was like, "Yo, this cat's 30. He was 19 when he did that. He had a little bit too much to drink. He crashed the car. He got so scared he got out. He came back to the scene and told the cops eventually it was him. You know what I'm saying? This kid's not a hardened criminal. So here I am explaining to the captains, like, this is the guy that you give a chance to. This is the guy that you give a chance to.
Hey, he proved himself.
Yes,
He gave
and that
himself
was
a
it.
chance. He
And that
slipped
was,
up.
bruh.
He had no pattern of doing stuff.
Yeah, he didn't have anything else after that.
Right,
You
no
know?
pattern of nothing. Everybody get one or two,
Right.
Man, you gotta get this pic. Hey,
Yeah.
Unconscious bias is crazy.
could you help us out just a little bit with a picture? I think we'll make you the photo guy too. Y'all really producing for us. Yeah. Yo.
up at.
All right, thank you.
Like I said, we can go out.
And then when he send it to you, you want to stand it behind here?
Yeah.
We don't want to do it.
Nah, we gonna do it right here.
When he send it to you, send it to me, Joe.
I got you. And I want you to do a drop for us.
Hey, bro, whatever,
You're
man.
gonna be the first one.
Whatever.
Just check out the Duality Podcast, be entertained and informed. Oh, real simple.
Just pull that chair.
Alright. We'll take two, one with the mask on. Nah.
Yeah, because my kids see this, they're gonna be like, "Why you ain't have your mask on?" My daughter's killing me, bro.
Oh, let me, matter of fact,
They
yeah,
be,
do this the right way.
they be killing me.
We can do both. So you can show them, say we did.
They be killing me.
Are we gonna do the
"Why you
safety
have your
one
mask
too?
on?"
All right, let's do the safety one.
We're taking like two photos there. One with the books in the mask and one with just the books.
All right, 1, 2, 3. One more, hold it. Okay.
Why was I smiling under that?
That's what Kool-Aid too.
I just wanted to feel it, y'all.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Hold it. All right. Oh man.
When you send it, make sure you send that to me.
I am.
I got me a good read for the weekend.
Yeah, man.
908. I know these.
I like this.
Bro, and even the cover, it's a story behind the cover.
908.
My son was a film major, so he was in his senior year in college, or maybe he had just
525.
graduated.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking, what am I gonna do for the cover? And I was like, yo, he has a creative mind. So I said to him, I was like, yo, I said, I want you to do the cover for my book. And he was like, you serious? I said, yeah. I said, listen, I said, I want you to listen to this song that inspired the title, because it was the Sound of the Police song.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why I decided to call it Overseas. So I said, I want you to listen to this song, and I gave
I
him
wanted to get that on that. I forgot.
I gave him the book. Obviously, it was before it was
All right, send it.
in like this, so
It should
he
come
had the
through.
manuscript. He read the first 2 chapters. He went downstairs. He got on his mat. In 2 hours, that's when he came back.
No, this is powerful.
I was like, bro, when I seen that, I said, yo, kid, I said, you took what was in my head.
And put it right there.
I'm talking about like the whole, like it's not even just one part; it's the whole.
Like, it's
And
the
even
flag
that,
in
right?
there,
Like
right.
Absolutely.
he really, like.
Yeah, man.
As soon as you look at it, you'd be like, I know what this is.
Yeah,
All I
yeah.
do is just open the page now. Let me find out where it's at.